Now, I understand that Blaire White's career is basically a dead horse that does not require any further beating, but I feel as though Blaire White represents a part of the sort of disaffected young demographic to alt-right pipeline kind of area, or at least conservative reactionary pipeline that isn't talked enough about, right? So generally when we talk about like the alt-right pipeline, you think about white gamer boys who like edgy humor and video games, watching Sargon of Akkad, and then, you know, Nick Fuentes and yada yada, and just like going down the rabbit hole, right? And that's what people usually imagine, but as many of us here should know, due to the overwhelming popularity of Blaire White, there is actually a fair amount of young LGBT people, young impressionable LGBT people, who are just as susceptible to that reactionary rhetoric as any white gamer boy would be, right? And I think Blaire White is the perfect commentary figure to point out in this sort of process, right? She appeals to young, disenfranchised LGBT people who want to be accepted, who feel as though their identity is going to be responded to in a hostile way by society. So rather than trying to join a movement that makes their identity more accepted, instead they try to find scapegoats. You see, instead of bringing up, like, doing what I would do, like, let's say I got into an argument with a conservative who said trans people are creeps and they're predators, I would argue with statistics saying that trans people are far more likely to be sexually assaulted or just assaulted in general in any given space, whether it be like a women's bathroom or like prison, especially. It's a big deal as well. But that's not what these young people are looking for. Maybe they're looking for that, but it's not what they're going to find. Instead, they're going to find content creators like Blaire White, Calvin Gara, and Rose of Dawn, among other figures. And no, it's no coincidence they all happen to be trans and highly conservative. Calvin Gara, not as much, but regardless. And the mode of content that these figures like to make is pointing to the bad transgenders, the bad LGBTs, and then saying, listen, we're not like them. Those are the bad LGBT people. Look at me. We're good. We're conservative. We're not crazy. And of course, we saw this perfectly demonstrated in that gutbuster of a debate that was Lauren Southern, Karen Borisenko, John Doyle, and that one crazy blonde Nazi lady who kept on telling Blaire White to grow a beard and stop indoctrinating children and calling her a degenerate. And then Blaire White responding by saying, I promise I'm not one of those bad transgenders. I'm one of the good ones, okay? I'm one of the good ones, over and over again for like an hour and a half. That's more or less the type of person that Blaire White encourages her and her audience to be. Now, today, we're going to be going into a little bit more depth. Now, this concept, this topic, hasn't been relevant for a while now. Last time this was really in the discourse was back in early 2019, around the same time I started making content. However, I was chilling, I was vibing, and I stumbled across a new Blaire White video. New Blaire White video. Oh boy. Oh boy. And I see it's called Exposing Trans Predator. Alok Vaid Menon. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but we'll pretend like I pronounced it correctly. Sounds like the name of a WoW character, frankly. Now, you'll see that this is somewhat, this maybe reminds you guys of something from a while ago. If we go ahead and take a look at Blaire White's most popular uploads, we've got, I think this gives a good idea of what Blaire White's whole thing is. I regret transitioning. Talk with teen detransitioner. Heated debate with Jessica Yaniv, trans predator. Exposing Jessica Yaniv, trans predator. And then the other two videos here are like normie, like T-spill drama channels, and then, or like drama videos, and then her debating Ben Shapiro, in which frankly she got blown out, which, I mean, well, She was debating Ben Shapiro, after all. Anyway, I gotta say, I know this might be a bit of a detour from the main topic, but can we talk about this video right here? Heated debate with Jessica Yaniv, trans predator. Now, listen, I'm a debate bro. I'm a debate lord. I like debating people. I really do enjoy debating people. However, if I'm Blaire White, now maybe me and Blaire White don't have the same goals. We don't have the same, kind of moral system. But generally, if I find out that someone is a pedophile and a predator, I wouldn't bring them onto my stream for an hour and 10 minutes and debate them. Not only debate them, but then when that child predator makes a snarky statement about how they're going to fuck kids, and then you respond with a witty comment back. Literally, this is what actually happened. Jessica Yaniv said some shit, really snarky shit about how you can't stop me from fucking kids, something like that. It was really fucked up. And then I think Blaire White responded with, "That was a real moment for you," or something, right? And then Blaire White went on to put that quote onto merchandise and sell that merchandise. She sold merchandise with the quote that she said to the pedophile that she debated in her debate with a pedophile. It's very bizarre. Listen, maybe I just wouldn't have a pedophile on my stream to debate. Maybe I'd ban them from all of, if they were part of any community, I would probably block them, report them, send my audience to report them to get them banned offline, not engage with them and give them attention, maybe, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, as you can see, some of Blaire White's most popular videos are about exposing trans predators, with Jessica Yaniv being the first one, of course, Now, I haven't seen this new video. I have no doubt that's very possible that whoever Blaire White is talking about here, very much like in the case of Jessica Yaniv, is actually a predator. And that does not change anything about the arguments we'll be making in this video, because I am not here to defend Alok Vide Menon. However, I would like to point out that I feel as though Blaire White's motivations for what she does should be pretty fucking obvious at this point. Can we talk about how much bullshit Blaire White has pulled? Can I just give you guys a bit of a refresher on how much of a dishonest piece of shit she is? Here, obviously there was the Janae Marie Kroc thing. That drama made her lose 150K subs or some shit like that. She was over 1 million. She dropped down to the 800,000s, mid 800,000. So she lost over 150K subs, I believe. She lied about trans women being able to get cervical cancer. That was a really good one. She actually showed the page that confirms trans women could get cervical cancer, but cut out the part where they say that they can. And we hunted down the exact page she showed on screen, read right past the paragraph where she cut it off. And sure enough, right there, it says that trans women can get cervical cancer in the neo-cervix or whatever it's called whenever they get bottom surgery. There was also that one non-binary person who Blaire White photoshopped a beard onto for her thumbnail. That was a really spicy one too. You guys remember that? The the thumbnail beard Photoshop? All I'm saying is I feel as though it's quite obvious what Blaire White's motivations are. She's pretty, she's sane, she's one of the good trans people. They were trans femme too. Yeah, of course. They like Blaire White. Do you guys know that there's old videos of Blaire White where she literally photoshopped beards into trans women she didn't like? Blaire White has misgendered trans women who pass extraordinarily well. Big boobs, smooth, soft skin, the long hair, makeup, womanly features, right? Completely, you would not be able to clock them, passing trans people. Blaire White has, misgendered extremely passing trans people because she doesn't like them before. This is what Blaire does. She's a piece of shit. We all know this, but regardless, let's get into this video.
These days,
Let's
the
see what we can
narrative
see.
is that transgender people will come into bathrooms and abuse little girls. The supposed purity of the victims has remained stagnant. There are no princesses. Little girls are also kinky. Your kids aren't straight and as narrow as you think.
Whew. Oh boy. Okay. Shit. All right, we're doing kink at Pride, aren't we? That's what we're doing. Did I actually just get sneak pulled into the kink at Pride discourse like a month after it ended? Is that what just happened to me? Did I actually just get involuntarily pulled into the kink at Pride discourse? Fuck. Well, I guess we in it now. I'm going to say this right now. Under no circumstances, all right, I want to make this very fucking clear, okay? I'm going to make this very fucking clear. I don't care what anybody says. I will argue with anybody on this. I will die on this fucking hill. Under no circumstances should you ever be saying kids are kinky or kids can be kinky too. I heard people saying this on Twitter during the Kink at Pride drama. I'm seeing it in this quote here. No matter how you feel about Kink at Pride, like whether you're okay, like kink at Pride is one thing. Like consenting adults engaging in kink at a public festival, probably in front of children. Like I don't agree with it, but that's one thing. Saying that kids can engage in kink too? Come on. Also, and I want to say this right now, this person is wrong. Like that, what they're saying right now is wrong because they're going about it the completely wrong way if they want to make this argument. Let's read over this. These days, the narrative is that transgender people will come into bathrooms and abuse little girls. Sure, true. The supposed purity of the victims has remained stagnant. There are no princesses. Little girls are also kinky. Your kids aren't as straight and narrow as you think. You know, this is a self-report here, I feel like. This right here, this last bit, kind of a self-report. My friend, you have just handed a W over to the right. I hate to say it, but you have once again, random crazy people on the internet have handed the right just a nice, steaming, saucy, delicious W. I'm sorry, my fellow lefties. The right wins on this one. All right, like this This is an example of somebody who fits the sort of predatory kind of pedo-like stereotype that the right tries to push of trans people. Now, obviously, there's a lot of trans people out there, so eventually you're gonna find someone who falls into that stereotype. But fuck, dude, you know? Bro, it's not even their quote, the model, I mean. It's not. This is fake. Gamerphobic, can you send me proof that's fake? If you can send me proof that that's fake, I will suck you off. Isn't that them? Oh, hey, Maliminus. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Isn't that them saying that they will do things with kids, but that's okay because the kids want it? What a bad argument. Yeah, I mean, if I want to make the argument that it's okay for like trans people to go into their preferred bathrooms, I'd say trans people are more likely to be assaulted, like than they are to do an assault. You know, like like the data's there. Zan, it should be the opposite. You should prove the accusation. Blaire has a history of lying to make trans people look bad. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. A lock. Wow, he came up quickly. Holy shit. Is this guy like well known? Is an American writer, performance artist, and media personality who performs under the moniker Alok. Alok is gender nonconforming and trans feminine and uses singular they pronouns. Okay. I'm looking up Alok Kids Kink quote. Okay, it seems to actually be a quote. Your kids aren't as straight and narrow as they think they are. Like everyone else, I've been a cute little girl, Alok added before insinuating that he had intercourse with adults when he was a child. Okay. Yeah. No. He's self-reported. No, I read a little bit more for the sake of my channel and the TOS. I'm gonna go ahead and not read more of that, but motherfucker full on self-reported is all I'm saying. Okay, motherfucker self-reported. Okay, he just or they just fucking hit the call meeting button right in the middle of the lobby and just self-reported. All right,
as you think. Good morning. It's 3 p.m. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to yet another video that if the world had even an ounce, an iota of sanity in it right now, I would not have to make. However, we're here making it. So if you've been on...
Blaire, you understand that trans people make up like 1% of the population of the planet, right? Or is it 2%? Like, I'm pretty sure like trans people make up like 1 or 2% of the world's population at least. And that's just generally what we've been able to track so far. It's not counting people who are in the closet. Less than 1%. Maybe it's in America. It's like 2% or 1%. It's something like that. Somewhere in that ballpark, right? Regardless, there are a lot of trans people out there. There are also a lot of creeps out there. And correlation does not equal causation. But eventually, at some point, just out of sheer statistics, you're going to find a crossroads between creeps and someone who happens to be trans. That doesn't mean trans people are inherently creeps. I don't know what the point Blaire's trying to make here. Like, the trans agenda is making people act like this. That's not how it works, but I guess we'll watch the video and find out.
On this channel for a while, you probably recognize this face. This is Alok Vade Manan, famed trans activist, influencer, non-binary activist. I have had many annoyances, grievances, and critiques of him over the past couple years. I think I've made 2 or 3 videos over the years about him, but this video is actually not about that.
We got the misgenderinos right there. I mean, you literally look up their name and it says they, them pronouns, but I mean, all right. I want to make something very clear here, okay? To all of my pro-trans people in chat. Hypers in chat, if you are pro-trans and you hate pedophiles. Can I get any hypers? Pro-trans and hate pedophiles? Yeah? 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 All right. Then I've got a spicy, boiling, sizzling, steaming hot take for all of you, okay? Regardless of how bad of a person a trans person happens to be, whether they be a pedophile, a murderer, a serial rapist, Hitler too, like, I'm not kidding, like, literally Hitler too, you know? Regardless of that, should you bring yourself down to the point of misgendering them, denying their identity, and what have you, while you may feel as though, on a surface level, that you're just insulting this individual, because fuck this individual, they're a bad person. The problem is, if you're transphobic to that individual, you're being transphobic. And whether you like it or not, that sort of extends to all trans people, whether you like them or not, if you go down that road. So as much as I hate to say it, I am going to call out Blaire White for misgendering this person who, from what I can tell, is a pretty big creep.
At all. Some really disturbing posts have resurfaced in regards to Alok, and I am going to say I don't know how I missed them, but I actually do know how I missed it, because this has been heavily censored, and people who talk about this have been banned off Twitter. I don't know what kind of pull he has at Twitter to make that happen, and you guys know.
You're telling me that Twitter is banning people for calling out the pedophilia shit that this person is saying? Because I'm going to call bullshit on that one. Blaire White, notorious liar. Ooh. Another thing Blaire White has lied about. I just remembered. She lied about her political compass results. It was so bizarre. She did a video where she takes the political compass test, and the thing is, when you take the political compass test, you answer the questions and your results come out, and the URL on the top of the page is different depending on what your results were. So if you type in that URL, you'll see the exact results as the person who did the test. So people put in the URL for Blaire White's test and found that it had her significantly more left-leaning than her graphic in the video showed. So people figured out that she was cheating. Also, on top of that, after that, people kind of zoomed into her browser during that video and saw that she literally had another tab open that was in Google Images that said Libertarian Political Compass Results. She left the tab open where she copied the image of a libertarian result on a political compass test, and then, like, I imagine I'm going to assume she inspect elemented and replaced the image of her actual results being, like, somewhere in the lib left to make it lib right. But people, like, they figured out she was full of shit on that and had edited it. Blaire White's a notorious liar. So what I'm imagining happened is it wasn't so much people calling out this person for being a fucking creep. It was probably a lot of people calling them, like, a delusional T-slur, an F-slur, and telling them they're going to kill them and all that shit. I imagine there was a lot of violent threats and transphobia in there. And that's probably what got them fucking yoinked off of Twitter, if I were to guess. Twitter does have a pedophile problem. Don't get me wrong. I've gone to war with the lolicons more times than I can count at this point. But it's much more a matter of Twitter not caring enough to take care of it than Twitter actively siding with the pedophiles. Yeah. Imagine making videos for a living and making that blunder, lol. Yeah.
No, I'm not the person to pull up old receipts and point out things that are offensive, that weren't offensive then, but are offensive now. But when it comes to potential predatory behavior, when it comes to comments about children, I think that's a different ballgame, and I have no problem calling that out. And frankly, after seeing...
Wow, so fucking brave, dude. You're anti-pedophile? Holy shit, Blaire. Oh my god, so fucking brave, Blaire. Oh my god, you're anti-pedophile? Holy shit, I'd be terrified to say that, dude. I'd be terrified to make a statement that brave, and just that powerful, Terrified.
This, I am absolutely more revolted, disgusted, and offended than ever that Alok has this huge platform, that he's constantly platformed by celebrities and hailed as, like, a thought leader in the trans community. I don't want this to be a leader in any community that I'm a part of. So it's...
Doesn't Blaire constantly say she's not part of the trans community? I guess, if anything, Blaire, you would want to say demographic, because you aren't really part of the trans community. Is Blaire part of the trans community? Like, does overwhelmingly, it seems like the trans community doesn't like Blaire White. I feel like she's just more part of the trans demographic than the community, because there's a difference, right? You could be trans and not be part of the trans community. Like, I'm white. I'm not part of the white community. I don't know, dude. I can't make a comparison. I'm way too sleep deprived to make an apt comparison here. But regardless, she's just she just is trans. She just is part of the demographic of trans people, not so much part of the community. If I were to guess, probably a lot of the places that this person is being platformed by just don't know about these statements and probably aren't, like, super plugged into the culture war shit. But from what I've, like, looked at of this person, then, like, I'd probably agree this person's a creep and should probably be deplatformed. Like, they seem like they've got some, like, really dangerous ideas and are probably allegedly like a kind of a predator.
Started with this meme, or a quote rather, that I saw going around Twitter recently. These days, the narrative is that transgender people will come into bathrooms and abuse little girls. The supposed purity of the victims has remained stagnant. There are no princesses. Little girls are also kinky. Your kids aren't straight and as narrow as you think. And this is allegedly a quote from Alok. So I saw this and I thought, how can this be real? And this...
Hold on, allegedly? I found an article that claimed that it was the case. God, imagine it turned out it wasn't actually a quote from this person. That'd be fucking wild.
This person can just get a free pass. Like, how is that a thing that's happening? So I dug deeper, searching for the credibility of this post to make sure it really is something that Alok had said, and it got 10 times worse with context. Yeah, I would say 10 times. And we're going to get into all that, but I do have to shout out the sponsor of today's video, the amazing Scentbird.
Blaire, stop. Stop. God, I need to get shameless. God, I need to get... Look how long that ad read was. Holy shit. Oh my God, I need to get shameless. Hey, chat, donate. There's white names in chat. Donate right now. Donate. Give me money. All right? You want me to keep making videos? You got to keep making money, all right? You got to keep donating that money. All right? We're getting as shameless as Blaire White.
You can click the link down below to go get your perfumes.
Take your shirt off,
But on to
Xander.
the video.
Take your
So
mom's
I dug
shirt
deeper
off.
than just the quote floating around Twitter in an image, because who knows, and it actually is verifiably from a post on a poetry page ran by Alok called Dark Matter. He ran it with another non-binary activist named Janini. I cannot pronounce the last name. I'm just going to put it on the screen. I'm not trying to be shady, I promise. I cannot pronounce that. I'm going to sound like an idiot. So
Oh, hey, Van Dyer. We're just vibing right now. I got 337 viewers. We got 85 on Twitch. We popping off.
in this disgusting post on Alok's poetry page, if you can translate the psychobabble, first and foremost.
Holy shit. All right. Is she going to read this whole thing? If she's going to read the whole thing, we'll let her read it off. But I guess I can read it out loud.
It's essentially
We'll
talking
see.
about the trans bath.
All right. She's summarizing it, so we're going to read it. Whew. That vape hit really limited my lung capacity for a minute. Whew. Now I know how Arthur Morgan felt when he got tuberculosis. The U.S. routinely searches for new legal scapegoats to deposit its fears and anxieties around gender/sexual deviance. Okay. In the past, this has included the witch trials, sodomy laws, hypercriminalization of suspected gay pedophilia in the late 20th century, and most recently, dozens of state and local anti-trans bills across the country. While the face/identity of the alleged perpetrators have changed, the supposed purity of the victims has remained quite stagnant. These days, the narrative is that freaky transgender people, or as they say, cross-dressers, will come into your bathrooms and abuse innocent little girls. This type of legal/carceral culture? Is that a word? Chat, have I just gotten stunlocked by a word I've never heard before? Culture? Wait, am I actually just like brain farting on the word culture? Yeah, wow, I am very sleep deprived, chat. Holy shit. This is what happens when I do a stay up all night and stream in the morning stream. Oh god. My brain is fried. Good lord. Relies on two things: the construction of morally aberrant perpetrators/scapegoats and the production of pure innocent victims. In this case, as in so many cases in the past, those victims are archetypical white, cis, innocent little girls. We totally need to challenge the white Christian supremacist right-wing rhetoric around trans bodies, absolutely, but we also need to seriously overhaul the idea that there's a perfect victim anywhere. Oh, God. Oh my god, how can you be so tone deaf? So far from what I'm reading, it's like... I understand what they're trying to get at. So far, it comes off as extraordinarily tone deaf. I really do feel like more people in positions of prominence like this, as much as it sucks... Hold on. Guys... This is my, spicy hot cancelable take for the day, all right? If you are a prominent figure in any community or part of a demographic, for example, LGBT people or trans people, unfortunately, anything you say publicly will reflect on all of that identity, whether you like it or not. And whether the rest of that identity or whether the rest of that community likes it or not. You know the deer girl, Ferociously Steph? She was the transgender girl who was a deer that was on the Twitch Advisory Anti-Bullying Safety Council, whatever it was called, and did go on a little bit of a power trip, maybe, Not that I would have done the same thing in her position, frankly. Power would corrupt the shit out of me if I had that much power. But she went on a little bit of a rant, And now a lot of people in the Twitch and gaming community, when they think of trans people, they think of the Deer Girl. They think of Ferociously Steph saying that gamers are white supremacists and she's going to ban them all and no one can stop her. It's unfortunate and it shouldn't be the case, but if you are any type of public-facing figure that is part of a marginalized group, what you say and do reflects on the rest of that group. So whether or not this person realized it, they're really fucking, so far, really weird fucking wording, like word choice and argumentation is just perfect fodder for conservatives that think trans people are pedophiles and creeps. This is just not how you engage with this type of discourse. I believe in the radical notion that little girls, like the rest of us, are complicated people. Sure, everybody is complicated. There are no fairy tales and no princesses here. Sure, little girls are also queer. Okay, trans. Okay, kinky, deviant. Why would you ever say this? Oh, you guys can't see it? There we go. Right here. Kinky, deviant. Why? Why would you ever say this? Why would you ever fucking type that? Why? What could possess your fucking mind that would make you think it was a good idea to say those words? Because it's either a self-report or unbelievably tone-deaf language. Like, the sad thing would be if this person actually isn't, like, a total creep, and they just, like, said something they thought sounded progressive, and then it came off as super weird. Because they were completely tone-deaf. Like, best case scenario, that's what happened. Kind, mean, beautiful, ugly, tremendous, and peculiar. Your kids aren't as straight and narrow as you think they are. Like everyone else, I've been a cute little girl and a gender non-conforming young adult. Let me tell you, everywhere along the spectrum, I've been complicated and strange. In the 1973 horror flick The Exorcist The Exorcist is my favorite snapshot of the cultural place of white cis little girls. In the film, a little girl with a single mother is possessed by the devil. I don't think the demon that possessed... I forget what the little girl's name is in The Exorcist, like the original Exorcist movie, but I don't believe it was actually the devil. It was just a demon, I think. From another perspective, the little girl is actually exploring her sexuality. Obviously, white men from the church have to be brought in to save her since her single mom can't do it alone. I'm sorry. Has this person seen The Exorcist? Has this person seen the fucking Exorcist? Guess what? I haven't either, but I watched a story recap video on it, so I know everything that happens. It's like you're watching a movie and it only takes 20 minutes of a fucking recap where a robot voice tells you everything that happens. So, in The Exorcist, a little girl, I think her name was Regan, a little girl named Regan gets possessed by a demon. At first, her mom doesn't believe her. She starts having some weird shit going down, some weird... Bed starts shaking. She starts, blacking out. She gets cuts on herself randomly. She starts vomiting up weird shit. And eventually, this one guy, who's an ex-preacher, I believe, who'd kind of lost his faith, he's just going around. He visits her. He recommends that the mom takes her to a psych hospital. They can't figure out what's wrong. And so they bring in a priest to try to help. And they start doing the exorcism. And the demon fucking kills the priest. And so the preacher who had previously lost his faith ends up regaining it again and managing to almost excise the demon, take the demon into himself. Then he jumps out of a window and dies. So the two white men that were brought in to save this pure white little girl or whatever this person's talking about, they fucking died. They fucking died horrible deaths. I don't know if this is some serious, actually, this seems like a really big reach. I'm all about, this kind of media analysis for how this kind of stuff, works in our culture, but this is just such a reach, and it feels like an excuse to make a really creepy pedo-esque argument, honestly. What if instead of moving from the Exorcist model of the little girlhood, we moved from a place that acknowledged that no one is a perfect pure flower that can be corrupted, that everyone is at once capable of receiving and enacting violence, including little girls, that we all give and receive violence to varying degrees, but that this is not a fairy tale. No one is purely good or evil. Look around, there are no princesses. This is pedo shit. I'm sorry. If this is the context of the statement, I don't believe that the context in any way absolved this person. I thought there was a possible chance that maybe it was just some bad wording, but like, fuck, dude, this is inexcusable. When someone makes the argument that trans people are predators that are going to like harm little girls in bathrooms, your argument in response to that should never be, well, maybe those little girls should have sexual acts done upon them in the bathroom, you know? Maybe they aren't that innocent. Maybe they're kinky. Maybe they're into it. Maybe it's okay. That should never fucking be your response. Now, I want to talk about something here. There's something sinister about what Blaire White is doing, you know. Now, on the surface, I think we've seen enough of the video because I don't actually want to respond to the video. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. You'll if you've seen the title of the video once this goes up, you'll know why I'm talking about this. We're talking about the insidious motivations behind exposing trans predators. Now, exposing predators is a good thing, no doubt. I love me some good old Chris Hansen, you know? I like the, hey, why don't you have a seat? You know, I like that shit. That's poggers as fuck. It's very enjoyable watching pedophiles get caught, you know? Very, very funny, right? However, just because you go after a bad person doesn't mean you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think we all know that Blaire White has insidious motivations behind what she's doing. Blaire White's goal is not to warn people about the danger of an individual person. You'd think that's what it is on surface level, right? I mean, you would hope, right? Oh, and of course her pinned video is exposing Jessica Yaniv, trans predator, her, I believe, second most or third most popular video. If this was supposed to be warning people and exposing a specific person, it would just be exposing Jessica Yaniv, a child predator. But it's not that. It's exposing Jessica Yaniv, trans predator. Exposing trans predator, Alok Menon. There's a reason why it's exposing trans predators. Imagine if, like, now granted, this is actually within the realm of possibility. Imagine if the pieces of shit who ended up being Nazis that exposed EDP 445, Eat That Pussy 445, you remember him? For being a pedophile. Imagine if they named their video Exposing Black Pedophile. Do you think if you read that title, you would maybe assume there was some malicious motivation behind that title? Like, hey, they're exposing a pedophile. It's great, but why'd they call it Exposing Black Pedophile? Why'd they call it that? I think this is absolutely comparable. Blaire White could easily just say she's exposing a child predator named Jessica Yaniv, exposing a child predator, Alok Menon, but instead it's exposing trans predator. And I think this belies the very malicious motivations behind Blaire White's actions here. She wants her audience to believe that the more progressive side of the trans community is infested with men pretending to be women that want to rape children and are just getting away with talking about how much they want to rape children, and everyone is just totally fine with it. Everyone on the left is just totally fine with it. That's the impression that Blaire White is trying to give off. And that's all at Blaire White's channel. Every video that Blaire White makes about trans people, at the end of the day, really does just lead down to that trans people are bad, but she's one of the good ones. Look at this, exposing trans predator, the influencer who transitioned to non-binary Korean, asking people at Pride how many genders there are. This video was fucking hysterical because she's trying to interview these extremely intoxicated people, just having a great fucking time at Pride. And they could just not give a fuck about her, you know, and they're just so drunk. It was a great video. The woke white saviors of TikTok. My life felt ruined. Talk with a detransitioned woman. Responding to Blaire White hates non-binary people. Very true. Caitlyn Jenner's run for governor is, I might agree with this video. Caitlyn Jenner fucking sucks. The rise of the neo-pronoun. James Charles is a predator, and the excuses are getting old. Notice how, notice how in the title of this, she calls it James Charles is a predator. Huh. You know, why not Jessica Yaniv as a predator? Why not, if you want to make it consistent, why wouldn't she call it James Charles is a gay predator? He is gay. That's just as relevant as Jessica Yaniv and Alok being trans. Maybe it's because Blaire White doesn't have an agenda against gay people typically as much as she does against trans people. Because unfortunately, at the moment, trans people's existence and validity is a fucking wedge issue. It is a culture war, wedge issue, the tug of war between the left and the right now. It's the thing to talk about. If you're on the right and you shit talk trans people, you'll make a lot of money, you'll get a lot of views. Admittedly, if you're on the left and you validate trans people and make good arguments for their existence and their validity, you'll make a lot of money and you'll get a lot of views. Not as much as right-wingers do shit talking them, but regardless, it's probably the most relevant civil rights issue going on right now, besides BLM and like ACAB, all that shit, right? Listen, okay? If you've watched up to this point, then it's pretty clear that I think that the person Blaire White was talking about in that video is a piece of shit and absolutely a fucking creep. But you have to realize that two people can be bad in a situation. Blaire White can be bad, and that predator can be badder. Because I'd argue the pedophile is worse than Blaire White, and I do believe this person's probably a pedophile. I mean, I got that radar for that kind of shit, you know? Regardless, I can criticize both of them. I think we dunked on Alok there plenty, but I really just want to showcase Blaire's motivations. Don't believe she's doing this out of the kindness of her heart or concern for kids. It's all about pushing the sort of narrative that she's grown with her channel over the last decade, I'd imagine. I think she's been on YouTube for like 10 years at this point. Anyway. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon if you haven't already, and make sure to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because if you don't do that, then YouTube won't do it. You won't even know. YouTube will never tell you whenever I go live or upload a new video if you don't hit that motherfucking bell. You can also follow my social media down in the description below. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and more, of course. Join the fan Discord as well. Links down there. You can also donate to me to support me financially if you've got the money for it and you don't know what to do with it and you don't need it for anything else. It's just spare income you don't need. You can either donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live. I always appreciate it. Your donations are what let me do this for a living. You can hit the join button or donate through Super Chat on YouTube, or you can Prime sub for free, or gift subs on Twitch, and you can donate to me with Streamlabs or sub me on Patreon. All of that's highly appreciated. And thank you for watching and have a good one.